Brought to you by wonderful Florida oranges and grapefruit. Fresh frozen concentrate, canned full strength, and chilled orange juice. All with the natural vitamin C you need every day. And now, let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel, which again this year was voted the Look Magazine Award as the best quiz or panel series by the country's television critics and editors. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in papers from coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Killgallen.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We are very happy to welcome back a young man who proved such a delightful panelist that we've invited him again. He's the star of the soon-to-be-released movie, The Mating Season, Mr. Tony Randall.
We're going to change the title to suit you. It's The Mating Game. We could talk about it for a long time. It is my pleasure to introduce the witty and pulchritudinous lady who now stars at the National Theater in the Broadway hit Once More with Feeling with Joseph Cotton, Miss Arlene Francis. Thank you.
And now the charming publisher of Random House, columnist of This Week magazine, but best of all, my neighbor in Mont Kisco, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
There are icy blasts blowing outside of this theater tonight, but they're blowing one very nice thing in our direction, and that's our urbane and civilized panel moderator, John Charles Daly.
He's not civilized.
I must say it would be difficult for Bennett to start this new year off for me in any better frame. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Line. We're up to our usual tricks, some interesting occupations, and some very nice people who brought them to the theater. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the show, and we'll meet our first challenger after this. Now let's meet our first contestant. Will you come in and sign in, please? These drafty old buildings. Jerry Sue Bradley. Is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Bradley?
Miss.
Miss Bradley, and where are you from?
Law, Kentucky.
Law?
Yes.
Kentucky, L-A-W?
No, L-O-Y-A-L-L.
Oh, L-O-Y-A-L-L. Loyal, Kentucky.
Law.
Law, L-O-Y-A-L-L, Law, Kentucky. Well, that's another way to start the new year. Thank you for correcting me. At least I've learned something more about the geography of our country.
Your accent's different from mine.
Just a wee bit, just a wee bit. Well, I must say, Miss Bradley, would you meet the panel? Miss Bradley, would you join me over here, please? Tell me, Miss Bradley, do you know how we keep score on What's My Line?
Yes, I do.
Well, if you know how we keep score, there's nothing left to do but let our friends at home, looking in their television sets, and our friends in the audience in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, a usual bit of help for you. I will tell you that Miss Bradley is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Bennett Cerf.
Well, Miss Bradley, I would say the two best-known products of Kentucky are thoroughbred horses and wonderful bourbon whiskey. Have you got anything to do with either of those two commodities?
No.
No.
One down. Nice to go, Miss Killgallen.
Miss Bradley, is there anyone in Lowell, Kentucky, or is there anybody up here in New York who can do the same thing in New York that you do in Lowell, Kentucky?
They might.
Would it be possible for it to be a female, too?
Yes.
Are there any men doing what you do?
Yes.
Are there more men than women doing what you do?
Yes.
Do you work with your hands?
Yes.
Is there any strength involved?
Sometimes.
Do you lift things?
Do you lift things?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Do you pick things up in one place and put them down in another?
Sometimes.
There was that time she forgot to put it down, though, Dorothy, and she got awful tired after a few days.
Is this something that I would be unlikely to be able to do without a lot more training than I've had?
I would say, Dorothy, that the fair answer to that would be that it would be unlikely on the grounds that you would not necessarily have interest. I think perhaps the training that you needed you could get in a relatively short space of time.
I see. Would you say that your work could not be included in the realm of athletics?
Could not be included in the realm of athletics. Yes, we could say it.
Do you perform services?
Yes.
Is there a product involved in your services?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr.
Then what do you
Randall.
pick up and put down?
People.
That's a very good one. I won't. Could I avail myself of your services?
Yes, you could.
Especially if you went to Kentucky.
Would my wife be apt to avail herself of your services?
She could.
When my wife did so, would John look as he looks now?
Probably.
It's more probable then that men would use, I won't say use you, would avail themselves of your services.
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you make an effort in your work to get rid of something or someone that is in your way or in the way of the public?
Yes.
Would we be able to hire you, let us say in New York, as a bouncer of some kind if we wanted to use your occupation? I mean, is she strong enough to handle people that she could...
I haven't the slightest idea, Miss Francis, and I resent the question. No, but her occupation, which we're here to determine tonight...
I didn't ask about her occupation. I just asked about a comparative kind of work, John.
Comparative? Well, even on the comparative and giving you the benefit of all the doubts and the new year having arrived and all, we are disposed to be generous, so we'll give you no. That makes it 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Miss Jerry Sue Bradley.
Yeah.
These things that you pick up and put down, are they alive?
Well...
Yes.
Sometimes.
Would they be possibly human beings?
Some.
Are they in a state of partial undress when you pick them up and lay them down? What I have in mind is that you might do some massage work or some kind of medical application.
Well, now, Bennett, it's very
That
good
gets
of
me
you
a no.
to give us the term of reference. On that basis, we can give you a no. 5 down and 5 to go. I'm going to give you 1 more minute.
You say... What was that? Could we have a brief conference, John?
Yeah, you're going to have 15 seconds for a conference.
Arlene, you elicited something about her getting something out of the way or getting people out of the way.
I was thinking of objectionable
Yes,
things
I
that
know
she
what you were
might have
thinking
handled.
of. Are the people out of doors when you move them from one place to the other?
Sometimes.
Are they alive?
Yes.
Are they being moved voluntarily?
Sometimes.
Do you have anything to do with a vehicle?
Sometimes.
Do you ride in a vehicle?
Sometimes.
Does this vehicle transport people from one place to another?
Sometimes.
Couldn't transport them in the same
I'll
place.
buy that. Is it a public means of transportation rather than private?
You mean public to the degree that any members of the general public can have access freely thereto upon the payment of a small emolument?
Or even a large emolument.
No, that will give you no... Actually, you're not getting...
Take a guess, John.
You may have one... Yes, I'm going to throw all the cards over.
Truant officer or a dog catcher?
An officer?
Or does she work for a non-profit making organization?
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually,
Is it some branch of the law?
Yeah, Bennett...
Oh, Bennett has it?
Truant?
Deputy Sheriff.
Sheriff.
Deputy Sheriff. Actually, Miss Bradley is with the Harlan County Sheriff's Office, and she has a very busy and active life, wears a uniform, and is now actually learning the business of being a law enforcement officer on the job. And she goes out on calls, particularly if the call involves juveniles or members of her own sex. And she is, I dare say, both an adornment to and a credit to the Harlan County Sheriff's Office. Of that we're sure. And you beat the panel, and for that I thank you very much. Thank you for being with us. All right, panel, let's see what you can do with the second challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? A. W. Clark. Right, sir? Mr. Clark, where are you from?
Waco, Texas.
Waco, Texas. Nice
Right.
to have you with us.
Thank you.
Mr. Clark,
Nice to be here.
the panel, Mr. Clark, will you join me over here, please, sir? Do you know how we keep score?
Yes, I do.
All right, then let's let the audiences here and at home know exactly what your line is. Panel, Mr. Clark is self-employed, and let's begin the general questioning with Tony Randall.
Mr. Clark, is there a product connected with what you do?
Yes.
Is it a product I could use?
Yes.
Is it a product you would imagine I do use?
Not as of yet.
I would think here, Tony, that in all fairness to Mr. Clark, we have to give you a no answer because I do not think that this is a product which you would make use of in any normal circumstance of which I'm aware. But you may, so you can hit me after the program, all right? That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Is it a product that one would find use of from the waist up?
No. 2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Well, Mr. Clark, is this a product that is used by human beings?
Yes.
Is it then used by human beings from the waist down?
Yes.
Is it below the knees?
Yes.
Is it below the ankles?
Yes.
Has something to do with the feet, in other words. Is that
Yes.
correct? Do you believe in that slogan, there's no business like shoe business?
Well, I believe in it, but
That gets you a no.
no.
I didn't ask whether he was in the shoe business.
I was just waiting. 3 down, 7 to go, Miss Killgallen.
Is the product that you have something to do with, Mr. Clark, something that would be applied to the foot
Yes.
rather than worn on the foot?
Yes.
Hold everything. Let's have a conference.
He usually only has that length conference with a pretty girl.
Yes.
Must be fascinating.
You avoided Miss Bradley.
We don't want to mislead you. Now, do you have reference here to something that is put directly to the foot, on the foot, like a unguent, ointment, salve, or any such
Yes, sir.
concoction? What is it you have in mind, Dorothy?
I don't know, John.
I'll give you a no anyway. That makes it 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Red.
I'm trying to think of things that apply to the foot that I haven't used yet.
Don't, because that's what I just got a no on without even trying.
Is this a manufactured product?
Right.
Does it have more than one part?
Yes.
Does it jingle?
No.
5 and 5, Miss Francis.
Is it anything that is attached to the shoe as opposed to attached to the foot itself?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Clark, if this is attached to the foot, would it be used more in one kind of weather than possibly in another kind of weather?
Yes, I'd say so.
Might it be used more in cold weather than hot weather?
Right.
Is it something that helps you keep your feet warm in cold weather?
Right.
It's a hot
Well,
sock.
it's a... Yes, it's some kind of a foot warmer.
Foot warmer is right. Actually, Mr. Clark is even more special than that, so I'll throw all the cards over again anyway. It's the beginning of the year. Mr. Clark's is an outdoor foot warmer. I would imagine, sir, basically used when you're going hunting or going to a football game or some spectator sports where you'll sit in the cold for some time.
That's
Would you
right,
tell
Miss
us what
Daly.
it is exactly?
What's the principle? Would you describe
It is a outdoor foot warmer. It burns lighter fluid just as you put in cigarette lighters.
The same thing you use for your hands when
Same
you're
thing,
using the
same
hand
burner,
warmer?
using the Joni famous hand warmer
Yes.
burner that we are using in this foot warmer. It's used at outdoor sports of all kinds.
I bet it isn't as
Football
good as my wife Phyllis.
Well, just for that, Mr. Cerf, I have one backstage for you, see.
You can make a comparative study.
Just for the men whose wives have cold feet only.
Now, as you know, Mr. Clark comes from Waco. You know what they say about Texas. This is a Texas hot foot. It's just about that big. It keeps both your feet hot. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Wonderful to have you with us. We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our sponsor.
State.
And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which I ask my friends on the panel to blindfold themselves. Are those blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel, as you know, in the case of our mystery guest, we go to a different form of questioning. You'll ask one question at a time in turn, moving clockwise. We'll begin with Miss Arlene Francis.
Is our mystery guest in New York because of an appearance in a picture or a play that is now being done on Broadway?
Oh, indeed.
Mr. Cerf?
Would it be a play that has recently opened?
Quite.
Miss Killgallen?
Do you sing?
Sometimes.
Mr. Randall?
Do you sing in this play?
Occasionally.
Miss Francis?
It is a play that is recently opened in which the young lady sings. Would it be considered a comedy as opposed to an operatic vehicle?
Oh, yes.
Mr. Cerf?
Did you ever appear in a Rodgers and Hammerstein comedy called Oklahoma?
Oh, yes.
Miss Celeste Holm?
Yes.
And I tried so hard.
I would like to say, John, since I probably am one of the few people in the show that has seen this because it just opened, Miss Celeste Holm is appearing in a play called Third Best Sport, which I would like her to tell us the meaning of, and also to tell her that it is a brilliant comedy performance.
Well,
just brilliant.
Thank you, thank you.
Liz, have you seen it? She's the best drunk in town.
I rehearsed a lot.
What is the third
You're
best
just
sport?
so modest, dear.
Well, according to a philosopher in our play, after sex and baseball, conventions are the third best sport.
Oh, boy.
Businessmen's convention.
After sex and baseball.
I didn't know baseball was so popular.
It is, actually. I'm not expert in any of these areas, Miss Celeste, but they call it the national pastime.
Oh, I'm
baseball.
glad. Yes, yes.
But I do know that if you're in it, that it's certainly A play that is well worth spending an evening with, because I never known you to be associated with anything. It wasn't a lot of fun to be...
Well, I've never been in a
looker
play
at.
where there was such loud laughter, I must say. It's a joy to hear. And Arlene, I can hardly wait to see you.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you. But
I can hardly
just
wait to
having
have
got
you.
into town, we're a little like was it the Gladiola Girl Company that got lost? You know, one has such a feeling that of not really knowing what's been going on because we've been so involved in this.
Well, you can't do this to us. What happened to the Gladiola Girl Company that got lost?
Well, don't you remember in Lindoneer, they had a sketch about a company that got lost on the road? And that's the way we felt.
That makes for a lot of... They found it yet.
Oh, yes.
Oh, good. I'm glad about that.
Celeste, you better say what theater you're playing at.
Oh, yes. We're in the Ambassador Theater, and the matinees are Wednesday and Saturday, and we're produced by the Theater Guild. And I hope you'll all come to see us.
I hope so, too.
With orange juice.
And how nice...
Oh, I drink it in the play like mad.
How nice of you to come and see us.
Thank you,
It's a joy to have you
Very,
with us.
very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. You've done very well so far tonight, panel. And we'll have another contestant after this word from our alternate sponsor.
Stay.
All right, panel, let's see what you can do with the final challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? Right there. Sign in right on that board, would you? Roswitha? Is that right? Hmm? Perch. Roswitha Perch. Is that right? Is it Miss or Mrs. Perch?
Miss Perch.
Miss Perch. And where are you from, Miss Perch?
I come from Germany.
You do?
Yes.
Ah, you're in this country now, though?
I'm in this country now.
Oh, good. Where do you come from in Germany?
Hamburg.
You are in this country now. They'll run me out of town for that one. No, what I meant is you are working and living in this country now.
Yes, I live here now.
Oh.
I want to stay here, too.
Oh, fine. Miss Perch, the panel. Panel,
How do
Miss
you do?
Perch. Now, will you join me over here, please? Miss Perch, do you know how we keep score?
I think so.
All right, you give them no answers, and if they're nice, honest, no answers, you get the card flipped and 10 flips, and they flipped, and you flipped, and you've won, and there you are. Now we'll let the audiences at home and in the theater know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, we will tell you that Miss Perch is salaried. We have about 2 minutes, and we begin with Dorothy Killgallen.
Miss Perch, does what you do entertain or people or make them feel better?
In the area of entertainment, you mean, Dorothy?
Well, in the area of anything, as long as they enjoy it. That's really what I meant.
It's marginal, but Miss Perch has given you a yes. We'll let it stand.
Are people able to see you when you do what you're doing?
Yes.
Can both men and women enjoy what you do?
Yes.
Do they come to you?
Yes.
Do you talk to them?
Yes.
Do you do something else besides
Well, now, Miss
talking to
Perch
them?
talks to them sometimes, not necessarily always.
Do you do something else besides talking to them?
Yes.
Do you ever touch them?
Yes.
Wait a minute. There might be an occasion, but this would not be necessary. I don't think we'd say that this was so necessary to the functioning which he has here tonight come to have, so we won't. There we are.
Why did she do it?
Mr. Randall.
You droned off, and I droned off with you. Do you work for a profit-making organization?
Yes.
Is special training required in your job?
No.
Miss Francis, you want to try one or two questions?
Well, I just want to ask if there is any
Discouraging, wasn't
product at all connected with what you
Product. That's the thing we needed all the time. No.
Nothing
So
to do
we'll
with
flip
food
all
or
the cards. I'm sorry we don't have more time because it'd be a lot of fun. Miss Perch is an elevator operator, and I believe is enjoying going up and down in Bonwood Tellers here in New York.
That's
Thank
right.
you
I
for
do
being our
too.
guest. You puzzled the family. Nice to have you there. I'm So, until next week, this is John Daly saying good night, Dorothy Killgallen.
Good night, John. Good night, Tony.
I'm confused. Good night, everybody. Good night, Arlene.
See you in Bonwitz. Good night, Bennett.
We're all going to get foot warmers when the show's over. Man said he had them for us.
The older chaps might need them.
Good night, John.
That means me, of course, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with us on What's My Line?
Transportation for contestants on What's My Line is arranged by United Airlines. What's My Line is a CBS television network production in association with Mark Goodson and Bill Codman. This is Hal Sims speaking.